Alright, so this is a little video just on how I teach my dogs to sit. I was asked to do this and a down one, so always have your dog on a lead. That's the most important thing. Whenever you're teaching your dog something to start with, put it on a lead so you have control. The last thing you want is to be trying to teach your dog a command and your dog's not on lead and it's running around or it's ignoring you or doing what it wants. You can't correct it, you can't guide it into the position you want. So if I'm trying to teach a dog sit and I don't have it on the lead and the dog's running around or not doing it and I'm going sit, 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 Fido sit, sit. All I'm teaching Fido to do is to sit when Fido damn well thinks he should sit. And when I say sit, a dog should sit. End of story. If I say down, a dog should go down. End of story. There shouldn't be a contemplation whether that dog should or shouldn't. And so you want it to be very clear to this dog when you give a command, this is what that command is. And understand that if a dog doesn't know what sit is, even saying the word sit is just a waste of time. It's a bit like me saying to him, chair, 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 and he's just going to look at me like, you idiot. Because chair means nothing to him. It's me just waffling on at him saying something absolutely unintelligible to him because there isn't an association with it. Alright, dogs basically need a pictorial association with an object to understand what the name is, or it's just a word. It's just baffled. It's just noise. Alright, so there shouldn't be any form of telling a dog to do something until it understands what that is. So until you get to that point when you want a dog to teach a dog something, you guide that dog. Alright, and sitting is no different. And it's one of the early things you'll teach a dog is to do exactly that. Now I'll just put him to the side. Stand. Now there's several ways of doing it. This is one of the older ways that I used to do, and I don't do it anymore. But it's from a stand, and as I do it I'm just going to lift up on this collar and I'm going to touch just off to one side of the spine near the hips. There's a nice little pressure point in there on a dog, and I'm just going to touch it. Alright, I don't hit it, I don't force it down, I'm just touching. It takes very little pressure to do, and it's not about hurting the dog, it's about guiding the dog. So I just do this. Yes, good boy. The moment the dog's bum hits the ground is the moment I'm going to praise and treat the dog. Stand. Alright, so this up, this down, nice and gently. Yes, good boy. The moment his bum hits the ground. Not as he's going down, not after he's down, the moment he goes. And it hits the ground. Koji, come around. Sit. Alright, so the moment he comes down, once the dog gets the hang of that and he's going down without any resistance and very easily the moment you touch that, then and only then do you begin to put a command in there. So now the dog's beginning to associate getting a treat with sitting. So now I give it a name. So same thing, stand. This comes up, this comes down. You can do this from a standing or from a squatting position, it doesn't really matter. I'm just doing it from this just to demonstrate it. This comes up, this comes down. Sit. As soon as his bum hits the ground, I give the command name, which is sit, and I praise and I treat him. Stand. Sit. Yes, good boy. And that's the way it goes. And you keep doing that until the dog just gets it. When the dog finally gets it, sit. Yes, good boy. Same thing. As soon as the bum hits the ground, he does. But now I've got the verbal command to go with it. So there's the association with him. And then I begin to add in a hand signal. Hand signals are less important than verbal. And again, I go, sit, yes, good boy. Coach, stand. Sit, yes, good boy. So I begin to add that hand signal in with it. So I say the command sit and the hand signal at the same time till he gets it. Hand signals are important in case the dog ever starts having hearing problems. People will tell you that they're super important for distance work, but really they're not. They help. If you lose your voice, they're great. But a dog's eyesight is far greater than their hearing. So, and if you're trying to stop your dog at a distance from doing something, often its back's to you. The dog's running away from you to get itself into trouble. So it's not going to see sit, sit, sit at all. But it will hear sit, assuming it doesn't have a hearing problem. It will hear the words. So a dog's hearing is far greater than its vision. So our hand signals are important and they help reinforce, but the verbal communication is far more important. So that's one way of doing it. Come around. The other way is simply have the dog here and just lift this up nice and gently. And as soon as that bum hits the ground, that's when you reward and treat. Come around. Yes, good boy. And it's the same thing. Come around. Yes, good boy. So the moment his backside hits that ground, I praise and I treat. And again, once he gets the association between that backside hitting the ground and him being praised and treated, then it's time, and only then is it time to add the verbal. Come around. Sit. Yes. So again, when that bum hits the ground, come around. Sit. Yes. I say the command, which in this case is sit, and I give the treat and I give a praise. Once he's got that, so when I can come around here, Koji, sit. Yes, good boy. Once he just knows it, then I move on to a hand command. Koji, sit. Yes, good boy. Koji, sit. Good boy, yes. And I move on with that. And the last way, which is my preferred way, good, is my preferred way, is to lure a dog. So from a standing position, the treat just comes up from the nose. Yes, good boy. And again, as soon as that back side hits the ground, we'll do it from here. Stand. We just lure this up, the top of the nose and back in a little bit to get that sit. So here, up to get that sit. Now if the dog's not getting it, you can add a little bit of pressure with the lead. But if you're luring with something the dog likes, there's no issue. And that simply means that the dog is now following your hand, which means the dog is at least beginning to focus on you. I prefer lure because there's no enforcement behind it. I'm not having to use any form of pressure at all. It's just a treat. And so, good boy. It's just at the nose, and then it just comes up and back into the dog, just a fraction to get that bum to sit down. And it's the same principle. As soon as that comes down, come around. As soon as that comes, yes, I treat, I praise. Alright, so once he's got that, come around. Once he's got that, nice and easy, then I start adding the command then. Once he understands the association between the two. Coach, come on. Sit. Yes, good boy. Once his backside hits the ground, there's the command, sit. And then I keep doing that. Once he has that, where I can just simply go, sit, good, without a lure, then he understands the command. Once he understands that, I can add in a hand signal. And you can use whatever you like. Okay. Yes, good boy. And he should be able to obey the hand signal without it. But until he knows the hand signal, of course, the hand signal comes with the command, sit. And so he'll sit because I've said sit, but then he'll begin to associate this hand signal. And like I said, the hand signal can be whatever you want, it just needs to be the same one each time. Come on. And that's my preferred way of doing it. I also have an auto sit. Koji, with me. The other thing I have is an auto sit. So doesn't matter what we're doing. Once I stop and he realizes we've stopped, till he makes a liar out of me. Once he realizes I've stopped, he should sit. Alright? But even Koji's not perfect. So, with me. So the general idea is once I stop, he stops. And then, as you've seen in other videos, if I don't move before long, he's simply going to lay down and put himself in a calm. But that's another thing as well. I'll do a very quick video on incorporating an auto sit in for a dog. This is really handy when you're out walking and you stop at curbs, or it's just as important to have them auto sit to wait to come out of their crate or to go through doors or gates. Alright, I hope that helps.